Welcome to the first session of the Ashland City Schools EdTech 2.0 Professional Development Series. And the reason these are titled 2.0 is because we're getting beyond the basics at this point. So this entire series, all 6 classes, are going to introduce some different things to you. All of them will get beyond Google, but you can integrate Google into almost every single one of them, if not every single one of them as well. So that's why it's 2.0. So hopefully you'll find some fun stuff that you guys can utilize. And the goal of these courses is for you to not just sit here and get information, but the goal of these courses is for you to actually open the websites, create accounts, log in, create stuff you can use in your classroom, and use these 2 hours to actually play around. And then that way it's constructive for all of us. So hopefully you leave feeling empowered instead of confused. Okay? So today is creating online assessments. First, let me say that all of these places we're going to visit are all free. Now, most of them have some kind of paid option that if you really like them, or you think, I really wish I had this, and the paid option allows you to do that, then you're free to go ahead and pay for the option. But all of them are free. Personally, I also believe these are probably the top 10 places to go for online assessments. There's probably thousands and thousands of places that you can go. These are the places that I've heard of most often, and these are the ones that I use. I do not use all 10. Okay, there's probably 2 that I use on any kind of a regular basis. So don't feel for a second like, oh, I don't use any of these, or I have to use all of these. It's not an all or nothing kind of thing. It's more about what works for you, the way, whether or not you like the way that things look, because that is really, really important. And I will tell you, some of these look very different than others. Some of them will appeal to kids more than others as well. Okay? We're going to go through, as we go through all 10, I'll kind of give you my 2 cents on what I think of it. And then I'll show you a video, which is usually 5 minutes or less, that's like a broad overview of it. So you can see what it looks like. They have screenshots, see how it's used. And then you guys are going to get in there, create accounts. And even if you don't want to use it, that's fine. But once you create the account, it'll send you an email with all the account information. So that way, tomorrow or the day after, when you're looking through your email, you think, oh, that's right. That one I really like. That one I didn't like so much, so I'm just going to delete that one. So I'm going to have you guys create accounts for all of these, even though you may not use all of them, because it's a great placeholder for information. So this is the other title I thought about titling this class, Searching Through the Abyss to Reach My Students, which educational technology feels like that sometimes, particularly creating online assessments. I have spent hours and hours. In fact, over the summer, I spent probably over 60 hours looking for online assessment tools. For various reasons, but because I wanted to be able to do certain things in my classroom that I was not able to do, and I wanted to be able to get a pulse as to where the students are kind of quickly. And some of these sites that we go to will allow you to do that. Some of them have a little more setup time, but once you get things set up and once you get the routine down with the students, it actually will save time in the long run. Okay? First thing you need to understand, creating these things, these online assessments can be easy, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't really have to reinvent a lot of your assessments, but it does take time to take it from a print version or maybe a different version and translate it online, because usually, especially if you're doing multiple choice kinds of questions, it takes time. But the beautiful thing about it is that once it's created and it's there forever. So you can go back if you want to and change questions, update questions, all those kinds of things, all right? And I'm telling you this because this year I'm piloting an all-electronic version of a freshman English class. Great things about it, there are horrible things about it. But what I've learned is that I've gone through the air testing, English Air Test 1 tons of times, read through all the sample questions, I've printed out all of the information that they have available for it. And one thing I've discovered is that using these assessments that we're going to go over, some of these sites have allowed me to create questions that will duplicate the kinds of questions that they'll get on those standardized tests. The kinds of questions that most students aren't used to answering, if that makes sense. Drag and drop, those kinds of things, reordering things. And so for a number of those kinds of things, you can actually do that on these sites. All right, so 3 principles of online assessments, all right? And the first one is that the goal is to involve the students. It gets them more engaged. Usually have a little more fun with it. And I'm going to get you guys actually doing some of these. You can see how intense things become just by adding something like music. You can add videos, you can add pictures, all these kinds of things to help engage kids, especially the kids who are a little less than focused. Next, these online assessments cover everything from summative assessments to formative assessments to even authentic assessments. There's one site we're going to go to that will help you or allow you to be able to create online digital portfolios for your students for free. Okay, so there's all kinds of assessments. There's not just one form, and almost every single one of these websites will allow you to create both formative and summative. I will tell you that, however, most of the time these online assessments are used more for formative assessments because they're usually like quick checks. Just allows kids to have a voice that don't normally talk, like the super quiet ones, or the kids who are too scared to ask questions. These kinds of things allow kids to be able to do that. And the last one is just to have fun, just try some things out. Some things might work, some things might not. Don't see it as a waste of time if you don't end up using it, because at least you now know what it is that you like about certain things and what you don't. And so going ahead with this kind of thing, there's only going to be more and more and more and more of these online assessments, and they're only going to become more and more sophisticated. So the more you can learn about them, the more you can figure out what it is that works best with your teaching style and your students. All right? And here are my suggestions for you. I would suggest that you bookmark. I would suggest that you create accounts and then just kind of have some fun with it, because you're not going to mess anything up. And no one's going to see it until you want them to actually see it. Okay? We good? All right.